Hi there everyone, welcome along as the focus begins to settle on the paper. They're fabulous. Can't believe it, absolutely fabulous. Okay guys, so welcome along. Hi there Glenn, hi Julie, hi there Maurice, welcome along. So good of you to join me. I really do appreciate you tuning in, and do forgive me if I posted slightly late again on to tell everybody we're going to be here, but take it as read. I'll do my very best to be here at 2 o'clock on Tuesdays. So hell or high water will not keep me away from chatting to my loose watercolour friends throughout the world. So hi Heather in Canada there, and Glenn from Pennsylvania. Great to see you guys. Do appreciate you joining in. Gail, obviously, from Connecticut. How could I miss out Gail, who's just arrived? So welcome along, guys. Hope you've had a really good painting week and some inspiration and ideas about subjects to have a go at. And really, in the sort of titles I think up for my little broadcasts, I really think of the name first, and then think of the subject sort of afterwards, because it sort of jars me along a bit and gets me thinking a bit outside the, as we say in the central England, a bit outside the rectangle. So think slightly differently. Even think outside the box is slightly thinking outside the rectangle, even another angle on it. But oh, my pleasure. If you saw the roses one, I think yesterday I put that on. I hope you like that, and I hope give you some ideas of how to go about sort of flowers that are sort of tightly knit with the petal formation. They're always a little bit tricky, and I think the thing most people tend to do with those is actually overdo it, because they're trying to mentally work out how to go about each petal. The best thing to do is just circle around the center, and they seem to appear. So that's how you do it. But do have a look at that, and you may it may give you a few pointers of how to do yours. But a little interesting one to have a go there. Hi there, Sarah. Welcome along, guys. Welcome along. So okay, let's have a look at what we're going to do. So we're going to do a semi-floral piece plus a couple of little insects as well. So this is where we get the close encounter from on this week's well thought out title. So let's have a little go there. And I've also been trying to rectify my camera, but no avail as yet. I've downloaded numerous bits of software, none of which work, and now I've got to try and remove them and start all over again. But I have been trying, so we'll see how that one goes. Hi there, Shirley. Welcome along. Good morning to you. So I'm presuming in the US we're talking early morning, about 7 or 8 o'clock. I had a little look on the internet to see what the different times were, but I'm presuming that's what it was. So, oh, hi, Jody and Janet as well. Oh, it really feels like everybody is welcome. Bring a bottle. I've got some here. Most of them are empty, unfortunately, but we'll refill them again fairly soon. Okay, let's get going. So, hi, Hallie in Mauritius. Oh, that sounds absolutely dreamlike. I must go there very soon. If you want any workshops in Mauritius, Hallie, just let me know. I can make it tomorrow. Sorry, I can't get over any earlier. Hi there, Robin, as well. So, okay, guys, let me get started. And obviously, just before I do start, is just to show you, obviously, the brew of the week. There we are. And we've gone for Huggy Bear mug this week. So I do vary things. It's not always the patterned mug. Huggy Bear sneaks in, and I do alternate week to week. So do that as well. It just keeps you on your toes. Right, okay. So let's get going. Pencil, P to the pencil. I've decided to name all of my equipment, as opposed to sort of the innocuous, nondescript names like pencil, brush. No, I think Peter the Pencil, quite good. So let's keep everything in shot for you today, guys. I'm just going to give myself a little border. There we go. Just going for a, I presume this geometric shape is the same all around the world. This in my village, and I just live in a little village, is called a square. Yeah. So there's my little square to start off with. Let's get that fully on screen for you guys, all ready. So what we're going to do, we're going to start with a very, very simple flower. Yeah. So my flower is going to be circular, but I'm going to do it pretty big. So it's going to be what we call, again in the village, a big flower. Yeah. Find a center around here. Then I'm going to cut some corners that I often do when it's sort of housework and things like that, or building. I usually cut corners, so less sand in the cement, all that sort of thing. Always worth doing if you want to get the job done quickly but not properly. Big circle, little circle. Yeah, circle's obviously my little center there. Then I want to cut these corners so I can actually bring some darker areas in, just to give me some great excuses, great usage of negative spacing. So got all the little shape on, and all we're going to do now is throw a few little lines out, just to give me direction of the object, working out from the center. That's when you may hear me say lines of direction. That's what I mean. Each part of the object will have a direction to it, a symmetry. So obviously the cartwheel effect for the actual flower, center, and rather the petals actually going out, and then obviously the center fairly round, but we've got little bobbles on there. But we won't just put the bobbles in there. We'll just allow those to drop on with the pigment. So Glenn always cuts away his corners too, he says. So that's a great double act. We could actually go on tour and we could do little diagrams on stage, Glenn, and then we could just cut the corners away. The cut corners brothers could call us that. And also other Glenn has cuts corners too, so it could be a triple act. Or we could have one in reserve, and then when one gets a bit tired of cutting corners, we could bring the other guy on. I think there's a little business in the making here, guys. There's my flower, little petal ends, and really you'll get obviously the information from the object you're doing. But don't have it too vividly in front of you, like some big glaring object that you've got to attempt to A, copy in a sense, but B, dismiss. The best thing is to just look at it fleetingly, and then try and memorize it just for that 10-20 seconds that you need the info, and that's all you need to do. But if you keep doing that, if you keep looking at the info too much, you will naturally be dragged into tightness and detail, obviously the opposite of what we're trying to achieve. There's my little flower, all glowing away there. The corner cutting tour, absolutely, Glenn. I think I can see the T-shirts being printed as we speak. Light's going to come in from the top left-hand side, so lighter this side of the flower, darker this side of the flower. But the interesting thing is all objects, all sections of the object will be light to dark. So it won't just be light to dark over the whole thing. The center will be light to dark. These leaves will be lighter, petals rather. These petals will be darker. So everything's got to be honored in that way. So what I've got also making a first guest appearance are a couple of little ladybirds. Yeah. So I did ask Miss Rigor, and she said this is absolutely fine. She doesn't mind a little bit of competition, especially from such cute little insects, I believe they may be. So maybe they need to correct me on my ornithology, not ornithology, on my garden stuff. So got all this going on. Absolutely, Glenn. Do not get too carried away with the drawing. When you've got a tight drawing to start off with, you're just fighting that. So throw the lines on. You just need very, very simple descriptions to hold your image together. And the more detail you put on, the more you've got to fight against later on. So ladybugs, we call them in the US. I read ladybirds over here, ladybugs. We know what we're thinking. Little red guys with spots on the back. So I'm just putting the basic shape. I've had a little look to see how they're formed. So they've got a little black bit at the front, and they've got another little black bit with a couple of little antennae. So I presume with the antennae they get fabulous reception for Sky or any other channel. I'm sure everything's in clear focus. So I've got two little guys on there heading towards the centre. Maybe that could be a big jam donut, who knows. Right, let's have a little look. So we're going to start with the big brush. Now this I've now entitled Big Brian. This is Big Brian. Brian, the big brush. Yeah, there he is. Now what I'm going to do for a start, well, I'm going to start off with the centre. Let's get in there. Dots and dashes of water. Nothing specific, but dots and dashes are quite important. If I completely fill the area, then wherever the pigment goes, it's going to be pigment everywhere. No light glitches to work with. Light yellow, just thrown on. Mid yellow, so cad yellow, just a slight variation there, nothing too spectacular. And then I'm going to go straight in for Indian red, light red at the back end. But I'm just allowing this paint to join in a few places so it doesn't overwhelm it. It will gradually creep across there. Every time I turn away, the paint will creep across slowly. What did I name my palette? Oh, that's Priscilla. Priscilla the palette, named after Elvis Presley's lovely lady. Ha ha ha. She's great taste and a great support to me, which is Priscilla was to Elvis, I'm sure, at the time. So Priscilla the palette. There we go. So I've got that floating along, almost flame-like, just dripping across. Very, very steadily doing that. So while that's happening, I'm going to get the big Brian brush again. Big B, drag some water down in the direction of the petals. Not so much on the light side, a decent bit on the dark side. Yeah. Not touching the center, because I know if I touch that, it's just going to fly across faster than the speed of a snail. Which, believe you me, they're quite a racy, pacey little animal. So now I'm going for a very weak little tone of my light yellow on the light side, dragging it in, just really preparing the area, not allowing it to touch the center at the moment. A little bit of light blue, scraping this around. Scraping being quite an operative word, but not being delicate really with the brush work. Holding the brush quite a way away from the end, because that loosens me up. Little things loosen you up. It's not one big dramatic moment that you think, ah, right, if I do that, it'll work. It's a combination of things. Just scraping on now, Indian red, always in the direction of the object. Mellow yellow. They call it mellow yellow. My word, I've not heard that before. Is maybe Donovan was a painter. He's I think I saw him on TV the other night. Fabulous evocative sounds of the 60s. So I've got all that on. While I've got a big reservoir of things floating about in the centre, now I'm actually just going to touch this into the centre. and that would allow this to bleed along away from the center. So what I'll do now, very, very, very important, have another little slurp of tea there. Do apologise for any slurping that may occur during this broadcast. Oh, delicious. 3 greatest words ever in the English language. Delicious. Now I've got a little bit of this stuff, kitchen tissue. Yeah. Now that is just scrunched up or unneatly folded. You go and see the Beach Boys. My word, they're fabulous. I love. Is it White Noise? One of their albums, a definitive little moment in history. I keep playing one in my car at the moment. I think it's called In My Room because it reminds me of me in my room. So more water in the shadow area to get that covered more. White, leaving white paper just to allow that to pick up that light and be delicate. All that's just floating about and doing its own thing. I've got an announcement to make. We've had a fabulous week this week, and actually we've got a reunion happened that is still actually ongoing in the building, and the reunion is of the Rigor Sisters. Yeah, so they're actually been partying all week. They're a little bit hungover, but the thing is, it's a great time to get together. So the actual Rigor Sisters are all together. 1 Rigor Sister, 2 Rigor Sister, 3 Rigor Sisters. There they are. So they could almost do a Beach Boy number, can't they? Eh? Gonna Surf City, yeah, we got some fun. Gonna Surf City, gonna have some fun. Gonna Surf City, gonna have some fun. Gonna Surf City, gonna do. Beautiful girls, beautiful, beautiful. They are absolutely tremendous dancers, tremendous dancers. So anyway, while all that's going on or going down, we're going to add a little bit of colour and tone and texture to the ladybirds. There we go. So we've got a big brush just for this one, and we're just going to drag this around. This is a dry area I'm just going to work on, just on the light side of ladybugs, ladybirds. Let that settle in. Gone round the bend, Shirley thinks. Yeah, no, that happened quite a while ago. It happened ages ago that I went completely around the bend. But now I'm on the straight road again. So we've got all that going on. Just dragging a little bit of dark tone around the darker side of the ladybugs, ladybirds. And I just want to float this into the colour around. So I'm just going to drag a little bit of water around and drag that in. So you're not always at the behest of what's happening on the paper. You can add a little bit of water or texture to drag that back in. So there we go. That's all floating off, doing its own thing. Get a little bit more texture on here, a little bit of cerulean blue, just dragged through. There we go. Now we can actually shape a few of these little bits and bobs, but we don't want to get too definitive. So if you feel these lines are getting too rigid or solid, just drag a little bit of water through and bleed them off. Take away the information, that's what it is. Center, a few dots and dashes. Again, don't let this bleed around too far. The further you place it down, the more it's going to overwhelm any lighter bits. So while this is all going down, folks, Lady Rigor, could you leave your sisters for a minute, please? If you possibly could. Thank you. You're very kind. You're very kind. And while you're there, Miss Rigor, could you bring a little bit of light yellow with you? Certainly can, Andrew. Thank you, Miss Rigor. So Miss Rigor's brought a little bit of yellow to the party. Just dragging that in, dots and dashes. The dots and dashes, we've already got one sort of little tone down there. But now we're actually going to allow some of that first wave of pigment to show through. So this second wave is always, even in this light, this very small range of tone, using negative painting to allow the first wave of painting to show through. So did I study art at uni? Yes. I started off, what did I do? I started off doing lots of different jobs, all that I was absolutely useless at. One of the first jobs I had was being a proofreader for books, which was fascinating, and I couldn't do it. But I was later realised that I was dyslexic, so not really the right job for me. So I just got by on joking, rolling about, and being optimistic, which seemed to get me through. I stayed for several years, which was quite funny. So got that. Also, when you've got this on, you're not tied down to the amount of pigment that you placed on. You can pick it off as well. Don't forget terry tissue there. Always very helpful, always on hand. Just there as well. Any areas throughout the painting, you can just do that as well, nice and light. Got it all floating about, and I juggle these areas. I get one bit on, get another bit on, mix them together, knit them together, as I call it, and then move on to the next one. So I'm always moving around, never just staying static in one particular area. Well, you're very kind to say that I succeeded, Shirley. What I did, I just stuck at what I wanted to do. And eventually, it came to pass that it worked out. Got all this on. So if you just had that like that, obviously it looked very bare and delicate, maybe the phrase. Yes, Glenn, quite a few people seem to, I think maybe that's where art comes in, because I can express myself through art. But writing or even written information, I'm useless at. So anyway, light blue, negatively carving around the shapes, and just drag this around and just do what you want with it. Doesn't matter where you throw it. Throw it over the hedge, under the hedge, or just place it on the sofa. Any of those places are more than a decent place for this tone you're putting around here just to land. Doesn't really matter. I think I have found my thing. So got all this on, just square it off so it's a bit more pleasing to look at along the edge. Take this colour up to the top. Remember, this is lighter up the top. So what I'm going to do, just choose any old colour. I've got some Indian red there, just blasting away. Scraping this around. Cerulean blue. And the colours, the tones you use will depict the mood. So almost if you do a sort of scamp sheet, that will just suggest the mood. So you don't have to labourish, just discover it, throw colours down, see what they mean to you, which is always the thing. It's your painting. That's what it's all about. Throw that down, Miss Rigor. Tell you what about one of your sisters? Would they like to have a go? Oh, no, Mr. Geeson. No. It's not really my thing. I'm just more a dancer. I'll tell you what, have a dance over here and see how it turns out. Oh, no, Mr. Geeson. Go on. Okay, Miss Rigor's sister is just having a go. Rita, the Rigor, is just having a little go. First time for Rita here. First time for Rita. to have a go at a little bit of painting. And I tell you what we're doing here, Rita, we're just allowing you to dance down these little nooks and crannies on the flower to negatively define the shape. Yee-haw, there you go. Some are going in quite a way, some hardly anywhere. Yeah, so we're not describing anything too much, just scooting around that. Or just floating about. Some will bleed in, some will just be quite static. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter at all. So now, just pop over this side. Remember the curvature of the flower, so we don't suddenly want to lurch in there. Always keep your diameter going quite nicely. Drag in again. Quite a big indentation there. Brian's really the guy for this. Rita, more the delicate work. So really I get an ocean of colour on, and then allow myself to shape it afterwards, so I don't just fiddle about and everything dries out. Rita, what about your other sister? Renata, the other sister. I'm running out of R's, guys. If you've got any suggestions, please feel free to type another name in. So we've got Rita, and obviously Miss Rigor. And then I'm not sure if her name is Renata. It could be. It's a beautiful name. Dots and dashes, guys. Dots and dashes. I'm getting too carried away here. Throwing that on. Hi there, Kimmy. Well done. Great for joining us. Thank you. Do appreciate your support. Absolutely, Robin. All the Rigor Sisters are exactly the same. So these are number 3s. That's the number you're looking for. And again, you don't want anything too flimsy. You want a good working rigor, as it were, because there's quite a lot out there that are too flimsy and they're just as good as useless for me. If you're doing delicate, tiny work, yes, great, but big stuff, you just can't get enough material on there, liquid. Help me, Rhonda. You're really on a roll today, Glenn. You really are on a roll. So help me, Rhonda. That's another Beach Boys one, isn't it? I went the other night to see a Guns N' Roses tribute band. I could not hear for quite a few days. I really shouldn't have stood so close to the speaker. It was beyond deafening, but nice, very nice. So got all this on. There we go. So, I know one song we heard the other day, not heard for years. Absolutely reminded all you guys in America there, and I think it was Horse with No Name. I don't know who it was by, but it's a lovely song. Trouble is, I just waited for all of the song to get the name of the horse, but a fruitless wait on that one, really was. So we need a name for that horse, with a horse with no name as well. Ah, that's it, America. Yeah, beautiful. So there we go. Just flicking these out, and again, this is just a little bit of shadow cast by the actual raised center. Your use of light, or consideration of where the light is always a very, very important thing, never to be underestimated, because from that you'll glean an awful lot of info that you need to to do that. It'll give you all the pointers you need all the way throughout the painting. That's your key reference really in this particular style. Flicking a few little lines out, bit of water again. Again, water's an underestimated thing. It's great stuff. It's wet, it's see-through, it's brilliant stuff, brilliant. But those little delicate lines there, just floating about. So we're just going along, we've got the tones on there, and then just at the front we're going to put a little bit of dark for the front of the little guys. So there's one little blob of darkness, and this is light blue and Windsor Violets, which is an artist quality one there. Got all of that on. America was the name. Yeah, brilliant on that one. How does it go? Oh, I don't know. Oh. I think it was on the first part of some sort of journey. They were looking at all the life. There were plants and birds and rocks and things. Fabulous. So, little beetle there. Flicking that colour over. Just round. Getting half the beetle on there, and then negatively, really, it's picking out the second section. Leaving one light, one dark. Light, we're paying due reverence to the way the light's coming over there from the top side. Little beetly legs. And again, because of the angle, you're not going to see them too far. Let's get these on, then bleed them off. So I'm just using a little bit of indigo and sepia on here. Tapping that on, and then we've got those little spots on the back. Absolutely, Glenn. At least the horse just didn't have a name. It didn't have a lack of appendages to move about on. Would have been in the desert for quite a while. Little dots now. Throwing these on. Again, try and pay a little bit of not interest, but think about if the dot's directly above, it's going to be fairly circular. If it's on the other side, it's going to taper off. So you'll only see the circular section of the sort of dots when you're looking straight at it. When it's away, it'll actually disappear and bend over sort of thing quite easily. So got all that floating about. Now underneath, I'll tell you what we're going to do. I'm going to really throw a bit of umphy-dumphy stuff on the centre. Miss Rigor, do your thing. Just got real dark Cerulean violet, this one. Very rich golden colour. Again, we've got yellow, Indian red. Just bringing this over to the dark side. So we're getting quite a range of colour just in the small area, and that will add drama. Quite often when you go about your painting, you'll get so far and then you'll get a bit scared because you're happy, which shows how fleeting moment of happiness is, because you'll think, oh, I can't do any more because I don't want to ruin it really. The good thing about this, I could put this on I could get a bit of tissue and just pick it off. So you're not committed to it. You know, I'll pick the whole lot off, and then I could do it again. So you could almost test it out. Quite often do that with wallpaper in my tent. Obviously, it doesn't stick too well, but you can test it out by just dropping this around. So this paper is £140 knot, and this one is actually made by a German company. It's called Heinemuller or Hannemuhl, different pronunciations of it wherever I go. So I'll just stick to Heinemuller, and then I generally have a long conversation about how we pronounce it. It's a bit like my surname. I say Geeson, the rest of the world say Geeson. I stick with Geeson because it prolongs the conversation by anything up to a week. So light to dark, you can see that real blast and glow there. And this is where you may get a bit tentative. You might say that, oh, okay, I'm relatively happy now, I don't want to throw any more on. But you can do. I'm going to go again with a ladyship, Miss Rigor. I'm having a mix of light blue, Windsor violet, and Indian red. Yeah, the size of this painting is not massive. I mean, there's the size of my hand. Yeah. There's the size of a champagne cork. Yeah. But I may have massive hands and drink a huge amount of champagne, but it's not big. It is about 10 by 10 inches, that is. So I'm just dragging these out. And again, the bigger the painting, the more you've got to have a sort of big distance to be able to drag the brush. So you're really painting with your arm a lot more than with your sort of delicate moves. A Magnum also, absolutely. I always drink from a massive bottle with a small handgun. So I use 2 Magnums at once, as Clint used to use apparently. As if I go into a delicatessen, I used to paraphrase Clint Eastwood in the Dirty Harry movies and say, go ahead, make my sandwich. So just dragging this out. Yes, actually, a quick update on some proper information. I use student grade paint predominantly because for me a lot of the colours blend better. They're not so rich in pigment, so you've got quite a task on your hands when you're first starting out to do loose with artist quality gear in that sense. So you see what I'm doing now, I'm really exaggerating the lights to darks. Get the lines on, I can drag these out just with water. And each time it's a revelation to me as it is to you. I don't know exactly how each of these marks are going to work, but what I'm interested in is the journey, literally. At the top end, I could do some delicate chop-ins there, just to break up the line. Top end, just throwing some marks around the top with a ladyship, just using the tip. But see how far I'm away from the end of the brush. Scrubbing this on, these broken marks, every mark is valid. Scraping this round, top end, that'll do up there. I'll just move it down a bit for you guys, it's out of screen, roughly. So got all that going on. Then just around here, I think I'm just going to put a couple of suggested leaves. Now then, that's obvious there for me. Hi there, Marianne. Welcome along. Sorry, I'm as I said before, my reading, when I attempt to read the questions, sometimes it takes me ages to read them, so I do have to break off. So flicking that on, just a little suggestion, bit of information on there. Reshaping each time. You don't want any overly clean lines around things, so I go back and break the lines up. Just pushing that back, using the reverse side to define a little portion of the object. Another one there, flick it on, move it about. This liquid colour that you've got on is great. You can move it about all the time. You can decide what you're going to do with it. Other thing I'm going to do, a few little holes in the couple of petals. You know, it's not perfect. You can vary this as you go around. Think about the colour behind. It's good you can join us, Marianne. I really do appreciate it. Well done. I was very late on putting my little notice on. I thought I'd put it on, but I hadn't. So there we go. Dropping this on. Thank you, everyone. You're very kind. Just a few little dots and dashes. Again, but I'm putting these, I'm still using the direction of the object, going from the center. All just blasting out there, floating about. So what I'll finally do, I think, is just add a few more little bits. I think they may have been feeding on there, Glenn, absolutely. They didn't go to Miss Rigor's party, so we left them a few little bits to have a little bite on. The strong tones will draw you in quite nicely. Quite often you can overpaint the heavy stuff because you think putting heavy, thick paint on, or whatever it may be, a rich paint, will define it. Just try and back off that and try subtlety. So you've got delicate stuff, but then the strong bits will drag you in and it'll look rich paint. Don't eat the flowers, my word. I don't think they'll do you much good. So I've got all that going on, guys. I might even just go back into the center. I just feel like even darkening that down even more in a smaller, ever decreasing circles, ever decreasing amounts of descriptive color for the light. So that's just a small bit along this back edge, but again, it just takes it down another notch. Another song, Glenn. We need another song, don't we, as we're rounding up? I think we have a go at Horse with No Name, guys. So wherever you are in the world, should we sing along to that one? I'll start you off, and then we can all sing as we get loose in our painting and our singing. Okay? 3, 2, 1. Hang on. Get some paint on my brush for a start. So I'm just dragging this out a little bit further, and there we go. Okay. So we're going to sing Horse with No Name. 3, 2, 1. On the first part of the journey, I was looking at all the life. There were plants and birds and rocks and things. There were sands and hills and rain. First thing I met was a ladybird with no buzz and the sky with no cloud. The heat was hot and the ground was dry. Miss Rigor was full of sound. Been through the desert on a horse with no name. It felt good to be out of the rain. Okay, guys, you finish off while I finish this off. So it's just little bits of dark now, just to pick out tiny little nuggets of information just at the end. Yeah. Little bits of strong stuff really do carry any sort of negative information, but don't get carried away with going around everything, because again, you take everything down a bit too far. There we go. There we go. So last thing, very last thing, I quite like the little twirly bits, and I might even do a little splashy bit as well. Yeah, if you want me to. So these could be little bits of vine that just flip about. Hope you're all still singing, guys. Sing as you splash the paint about. Really enjoy the process. I can't emphasize that enough. Gather ye rosebuds. Enjoy the moment. That's what it's all about. So, just all floating about there. Little depths, pockets of information to describe the ends. Nice glow. We've got the couple of little ladybugs there, all presented, both drawn on and worked on by the Rigor Sisters. And if you didn't see them earlier, they're still with us. There they are. They're the Rigor Sisters all together. Beautiful ladies, beautiful people, all on there. I think that's about it, guys. I think very simple in its concept, but just adding a little bit of a story brings it together, gives it another dimension, and it's flowing all of the time. Break it down, simple drawing, get your center in there, light to dark with one object, light to dark with the bigger ones, light to dark with these guys. Underneath, just picking that out negatively with Big Brian. There he is, great little brush, just shove him in that side there. Make those marks and then see how you get on. But this one's over to you guys. You've been fun as always. Really do appreciate your support. Try this one, keep it nice and simple. Post your results online. Let's have a look at them and see how we get on. So a couple of quick plugs, if I may, guys. I don't like to do this, but it allows me to eat and occasionally buy a new tea bag, which is getting mighty thin these days. But I've got my tutorial channel. There's a couple of links here if you want to pop over and have a look. The first couple of weeks are free to see if it's your sort of thing. I think we're up to about 120 videos on there now, but all the small ones are put on. The full length ones are all over there. Patrons offering a similar thing with static images as well, which are very nice to get the idea across. And holidays, the Wales extravaganza is all full for this year, and I've managed to secure a couple more weeks in the same place next year, so do look out for that. That could be very interesting. And I do want to travel. I'm looking at Rome and America still want to firm that up, and maybe a little bit further afield, Australia way as well. So we'll see how it all pans out. So thanks again, guys. You is stars. Just keep it nice and relaxed. Just enjoy yourselves. Throw the paint on. See what happens, and just get all the joy out of it you can. Squeeze every little last drop of joy out of your painting experience. So thanks again, and see you all very soon.